Hello, welcome to Cinema Savvy. It is that time of the week again. We are back to discuss the Falcon and the Winter Soldier. One of the most brutal episodes I think we could have imagined. And of course, this is our spoiler discussion. We're going to be talking about this whole thing, especially that final shot. Loving the comments so far. We've already got people in already. I've got to bring up Dave's already. Yes, we were slightly late tonight, but must be cleaning all the blood off their shields. George, you were mentioning you should have put some blood on the shield.
Yeah,
to look the part.
It would have been really sad. Like, I would have just had a body hanging off it. It would have been. It's like, oh no, this collectible shield like dips it in tomato ketchup for a video. That is pure dedication. And maybe, you know what, I'm going to put my money on it now. One day in the next few years, right? Also, we'll do an autograph signing, and someone will have a custom Hasbro blood shield for him to sign, and it's going to look terrifyingly, insanely excellent. But yeah.
Yeah, I was going to say, we're up to episode 4 on this thing, so this is The Whole World is Watching. Very, very apt title by the end of this episode. There's a lot to discuss. There's a lot of neat sort of cameos and ties in with the grander MCU stuff and the ramifications of where this is going to be heading into episode 5 and 6. There's only 6 episodes this series, but so there's a lot to dissect. So before we get into it, just back over to George with the socials, and then we're diving straight into this thing.
Absolutely, guys. As we always say, this is a spoiler discussion. Comment all the spoilers, all your thoughts, your opinions, what you think is going to happen, and what maybe happened or what was too extreme. Because this wasn't. I feel sorry for all the parents that like show their kids like, yeah, Captain America, go kids, and then like it's that Simpson. And you're like, stop it, he's dead already. Like it was a live action version of that. But no, we're not here to talk Simpsons just yet. Obviously, comment along if you do like this video. If you like our other Marvel videos, we've got the retrospective going at the same time. Hit that like button, do subscribe. There's a lot more Marvel on the way. We've seen new Loki trailers, so that's going to be around in June. And, you know, there's like 4 new films coming out this year, which apparently isn't too much. But aside from that, hit us up on our social medias to find out what videos do come next, because we have so many happening. Obviously, we're in Oscar season. So the best way to find out what videos are going to be next is Facebook at Cinema Savvy, Twitter at cinema_savvy, letterboxd.com/Cinema Savvy. And we have links below in the description for both the TeePublic store and the Oscar giveaway. So check that out. Submit. You got a chance to win a voucher. Don't get any redeemable shields. We're not about that life. We're here for we rep our boy Steve Rogers, not Wyatt Russell. John Walker, sorry. So weird getting used to it. But yeah, episode 4. This has been an episode. It's so hard not to jump to the end.
I know.
Because it's one of them where that was a phenomenal ending, and probably one of the darkest things Marvel's ever done. However, we've got to go right back to the beginning, because I had a very interesting experience watching this. The opening scene, I was like, oh my God, Wakanda, just to jump into it straight away. I was like, oh my God, we're getting this really beautiful, you know, we're getting this really nice scene. We're getting this flashback, and then my sister started shouting about Prince Philip, and then text started coming in on my phone and took me out of it for a couple of moments. I'd have to rewind that scene. But, you know, people always talk about where were they when they found out Diana died. Obviously, we'll not get it for Philip, and mine's going to be watching Bucky Barnes cry. Yeah, exactly, like in my pajamas on my lunch break. So there's that one to get that out of the way really quickly. But I was so happy to go back to Wakanda. Also, sorry, Chris, before I let you talk, I'm going to quickly, if you like Wakanda, our Black Panther video comes out tomorrow, which is, again, more fluke timing that we didn't know about or intend for. So there's that little plug there. But your thoughts on the opening scene?
I love that we went back to Wakanda. I didn't expect us to have any kind of flashback there. Obviously, we got the character. Is it Ao? I forget her name. I think it's Ao. I didn't even think this series was going to tie into Black Panther or bring all that stuff back up, even though I know it's important to the character because that was his change. And I guess this is like a similar thing to me with what WandaVision did, where you had those flashbacks in that one episode where it reinforces past stuff that happened. You know, we say about, you know, like the relationship, the initial connection between Wanda and Vision, like it was there, but there wasn't loads of it. But those extra scenes in WandaVision just helped, you know, embellish those characters a bit more and bring more weight to those moments. So now when you watch it as a whole with those scenes in mind and you go back and watch them, it just makes it all feel a bit fuller. And this was kind of that with me as well. I think that seeing the Winter Soldier go from the, you know, the horrible cold-blooded killer of the Winter Soldier to just Bucky, that's a huge character change, and it all happens off screen. At least I think it does. I haven't seen those in between ones, but I think we had this discussion on like the recent review that we did saying that it does all happen off screen and he just comes back and he got better. Well, we see him getting better in this flashback. So I really appreciate this flashback. I think it was very, very well acted, actually, by Sebastian Stan. You really get that sense of emotion where he comes back. The only problem that I have with it is that I wanted more. I wanted to see more of his time in Wakanda and more of his conditioning and training and sort of weaning him away from that lifestyle to the new. I think, because I spoke to you a bit about this episode, even if you'd have just kept it contained to this one episode and you had multiple flashbacks and you saw him just being completely unruly and untamable and just seeing that journey, that slow transition back to Bucky, I think if you'd have ended that flashback series with this scene, that bit would have been all the more emotional. It was still emotional because we know the character, we like the character, we've seen him in so many films at this point. But I think just seeing almost like a beginning, middle, and end of that flashback sequence would have given it a little bit more weight. And I guess from episode 1 of this series, I thought we were going to get more flashbacks. The way that episode 1 was structured, you know, you get more insight into Sam's life, and then you were getting the flashbacks with Bucky as he was making amends for his past. And I guess I kind of want more of that stuff. I think episode 1's still my favorite in that regard, in that it felt the most character focused out of all the episodes. This one was very action heavy, I would say. It does have character moments in there, but in isolation, I love the flashback. I guess I'm greedy. I want to see more of his time there. But now that they've kind of shown you the ending of his arc there, where he does make that transition back into Bucky, I don't think we have any reason to go back now. Like, what's the point of going back and seeing him when he was the Winter Soldier? Because we know where it ends up ultimately.
Yeah, it's a good point. And I think with all that, sort of with the concept, it was so smart to not even have it set in modern day with IO and them facing down that. That we got this off screen as if it was her that was training him for this as well, as she was guiding him. I think that built up his character really well, and that is one of the struggles, is that he just pops up in a film like, you know, time to get your new arm, and then he's in the war with them at the end of it. Obviously, I still love that stuff, and I understand why they want to dedicate those kind of minutes to him in an already 2.5 hour long film. But this is the point of this series, that we're going to get these moments we've not been able to have with him, with Sam, and I think Bucky once again gets the most character development out the pair of them. I do think we might get more flashbacks, maybe not to Winter Soldier stuff, but I think we'll get some more things in the next couple of weeks by the time we get to that season finale, because his character still doesn't feel like it's fully there. And I don't think they're going to do this big, you know, plot twist and say he's Captain America. I do think it will still be Sam. But I'm curious, because I feel as if Marvel's still got big plans for Bucky, and we get some great moments with him. And just aside from that, talking about sort of Falcon, because Falcon doesn't get as much to do in this episode. They still have that great double act duo where they're so well rooted as double acts now that I love seeing them together. And with John Walker and his, I always forget his friend's name. Is it Star,
isn't it?
That's it.
Yeah.
But it's a clear parallel of Cap and Falcon and Cap and Black Star. And it's one of them where obviously we'll get to the ending later on, but a lot of people think that they might be saying a Bucky being Cap. I don't think so at all. I think it's firmly Falcon. It'd be strange for them to give Falcon the shield in Endgame and not give him the shield at the end of the series. But I think Bucky's going to have a bigger role to play. The reasoning, I don't know what yet. And I'm excited for it because it just adds layers. And I know it is a cinematic universe and you can look at this as its own thing, but it just makes the world feel so much bigger. And I hate that those kind of phrases, but just going to Wakanda, like that is how well known it is. You know, it's not this, oh, I've gone to London or LA. Like this is a fictional country that everyone knows and everyone says everyone. Fair play to Henry Jackman without getting to the score too quickly. He brings in that Ludwig Göransson theme as much as he can, which is the right thing to do. And it just added to it, and it feels like a special occasion when you're going over there. And I still love they call him the White Wolf. I don't know why I like the nickname so much, but I really like it. It's pretty cool. I wouldn't want the series to be called The Falcon and the White Wolf. That sounds a bit strange. But Bucky in this had some really good scenes, and Sam did get a great scene with Carly, which we'll speak about in a bit. But for an opening, I thought that was very solid. However, we have to really talk about the scene stealer, the GIF of the year, the GIF that demanded a Zemo cut. # release the Zemo cut. Last night we were treated to the full.
They released it. Yeah, they got it out there.
Didn't take 4 years of campaigning and abuse for this one to come out. No, just 6 days. And that wasn't no abuse. I love Daniel Brawl. I say this every week. I get on this Daniel Brawl hype show. I was going to send you a meme, like, you know, like out of context spoilers. I just really wanted to send someone a photo of the child catcher because all I could think of was that in District 9 when Vickers is giving the prawn sweets as briberies as well. And the whole, like, you've got these two idiots behind us here trying to get info, just walking around shouting names, and then, you know, Zemo's singing Bar Bar Black Sheep. He's like got the stall. I was like, is this going to be some like mad Casino Royale thing? And he got all the info, but we know he's got a bigger game in mind. He tells the kid, you know, these two guys, they're bad men. And last week, some people were like, oh, Zemo's got a redemption arc. No.
Oh, no.
Zemo is 10 steps ahead of all of us. And once again, I think he knew exactly what was going to happen today. And I absolutely love every moment we get with him.
Do people seriously believe that Zemo is going to have a redemption arc in this? Like, I never went into this thinking that, like, but I love bad guys like this where I guess that was kind of started with Loki as well in many respects in the MCU, where it's like, he's a real son of a bitch, but I really need his help for this thing. So it's that sort of like awkward alliance between the two, but he's always out for his own agenda. What I find fascinating though, and yeah, I'm glad you brought up the child catcher thing, because that's a very apt comparison. It was very uncomfortable, very weird, but Zemo is a very uncomfortable and weird kind of guy. But we get the setup for that earlier, where they're just kind of hanging out in that bar area or wherever they are, and he says, you know, he offers them Turkish delight, and it makes you wonder, how far ahead is this guy thinking? Like, did he genuinely just take a bag of Turkish delight just to have on the go, to have on the journey, and he was like, hang on, I have this bag, I'm going to use this now? Or did he suspect, actually, there'll probably be kids there and I can chat to them and they'll still give me the information and I can go in it with it that angle? Either way you look at it, this is a really methodical guy and planning, as you mentioned, like 100 steps ahead of everyone else. And the way that he is turning them against the other two, Falcon and the Winter Soldier. So I don't know if we're going to get more of a payoff to that storyline, where they're going to sort of start to side with Zemo. And I don't know if he's going to become the leader of them, or if Carly's character is still going to be the leader of the Flag Smashers. But I've always thought that, and from the trailers, that he's going to have something to do with that organization. He's either going to not become a part of it, because it seems like he's not really interested in that anyway, but use that to his own agenda for some bigger purpose, which we don't know yet. And I really want to know what his ultimate goal is. Because we see him smashing the serum, and I've got to think that there's more to it than just that. Like, I know he doesn't like superheroes and he doesn't want to see any more superheroes in the world. So that's why he wants to destroy the serum, but that can't be his end goal, right? There's got to be something bigger than that, surely. I mean, we've got 2 episodes left, but the way that this episode ends, it feels like it's teeing up Captain America as the big villain, which is a really cool angle to go with. The fact that the series started with this, you know, the mantle of Captain America and how important he is and what a truly inspiring leader he is. And then on the flip side, you've got Carly and the Flag Smashers, that she has like a really great quote in this as well. And I can't remember what she says. She says that I don't care who, or is it Sam's sister? She mentioned something about, I don't care who the mascot of America is, because they've basically not done anything for me. Which is a really interesting angle. And then if you take that to its logical extreme and you actually physically make this new Captain America the villain of the series, I think that's, you know, contextually and thematically what you're doing with it. I think that's really interesting.
Yeah, and I think that's what works well with this story, is that although we've not had that personal touch, the family stuff that we got at the start of the episode 1, we sort of got a very quick delve. I know last week we had the phone call, but if you hadn't seen the sister, we knew she was there, and I loved that scene today where we do get her, and that was a pretty powerful comment. It's not about a mascot, and that sticks true to her character. And also, I think what makes that stronger is that she is Falcon's sister, and they both know, the pair of them, that, you know, America's not done anything for them, and since they've been back from the blip, things haven't gone their way. And I think that's why, sort of jumping ahead to the Sam stuff, that dialogue scene where it's him talking at the funeral, I thought worked so well, because he's right. They both want the same thing. They want things to be better for everybody. You know, not just the people that returned, but the people that struggled during those 5 years that were alive. And I thought that was some really good stuff with the sister as well. We'll get to Erin Kellyman's character in a bit, so I know there's been a lot of chat about that online, but I thought the funeral stuff worked really well. But it's going back to that old sort of, not villain thing, but you don't just want a punch thing. You want a bit of dialogue. You want to get to know a character, learn more about them. And I thought the fact that Sam actually has these common interests with her works really well, and Zemo already knows that, and he's just playing chess while we're watching. And I'm going to once again say I want the coat, and I will buy the coat. as soon as there's a website that has it legitimately, not all dodgy photos and that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I guess I'm a sucker for those kind of jackets. I guess Bane kind of started that in The Dark Knight Rises, the fur ruff around the top. Yeah, I love that coat. And they're going to sell it as well. There's going to be like an outcry for those kind of coats. So absolutely. I just want to bring up a message here from Dave. I love this line. This was one of my favorite lines of the entire episode. Best line was from Sam to Cap. You ain't running nothing in here but your mouth. Yeah, that got a big laugh out of me as well. I want to bring up Carl's comment at the end because I think that's good. That sort of passing of the mantle and that legacy of Captain America. You teed it up with Carly's character. Should we just get onto it? Because this is my biggest negative with, not even just this episode, specifically this episode, but also the series as a whole so far. And I always forget her name, so I'm going to try and find the actress's name. There we go, Erin Kellyman. She is awful. And I don't know if that's across the board. Like, she wasn't in Solo all that much. And to be honest, I can't really remember her character all that much from that film. I haven't seen anything else she's done besides Solo and obviously this. Horrifically miscast as this character. I like the concept of her character, but we talked, I think it was last week, that the dialogue just for all of the flag smashes just seems off. It's kind of the weakest dialogue. It's very matter of fact. It's very sort of exposition based. They kind of just give you the entire character's history and their wants and dreams in just like a really random, it doesn't feel fluid. It doesn't feel like a proper conversation. It feels like we've got to get the audience to know this character and we've got like 30 seconds to do it. So they just sort of blurt out all of their family history. She is just so one note in this episode. And this was an episode where she needed to showcase that change of emotion. She needs to show that strength as a leader, that kind of going off the rails, like she's a terrorist, like cold-blooded murder. She has that line where she says, like, I don't care if they die, or I can't remember the line exactly. But then she also needs those warmer moments, those emotional moments, the scene where she's talking to Sam. And on paper, that's a great scene. I like that he goes in, he doesn't want to go in all guns blazing. He's like, let me talk to her, give me 10 minutes, and then come after me. And I love that dynamic as well, where it kept cutting back and you had Captain America getting really et up and just wanting to go in there. Pure Captain America style, all guns blazing, as America always loves to do. But I love that scene, but her performance is just terrible. She's just so one note. There's no emotion. She delivers all the lines in exactly the same way. And there's the accent thing as well. We kind of had a debate on that because we know that she's from Birmingham, relatively close to home.
But found out even closer than we thought. Tamworth.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
That's mental, but she kind of sounds a bit like a Londoner, like a bit EastEnders-y kind of in parts. I don't even know if the accent's a problem. I don't know if they should have got someone who could do an American accent or if you needed like an American actress or something. I don't even know if that's the case. She just feels very out of place in the situation. And I think the accent makes her stand out a little bit more, probably not in a good way, because it just feels kind of weird that she's there. But it's the performance. I can't say a positive thing about it. And I really want to like a character. And, you've got Captain America in the mix now, who might be the big villain overall. You've got Zemo in there, who was the big villain from Civil War continuing over. But so far, she's kind of been teed up as the main antagonist, the big, opposing force that Falcon and Winter Soldier have got to go after. And she just has no charisma on screen. She just has no standout power. So I hate to be really this Debbie Downer about an actor because, they're doing the best probably, but her best ain't good enough. And she just sucks the life out of the screen every time she's on there.
I don't mind her. However, I think it's more the writing.
The writing doesn't help. I'll agree with that. Yeah.
Yeah. This is because we got that great scene and Falcon is clearly, obviously he's talking to her, but they're these similar ideologies, but all the better stuff seems to come from Anthony Mackie's end, and I felt that's with the dialogue and performance as well. And I think for me, it's when she kept slipping back into that like Brummy, like you'd get like a Brummy thing, and I think because it's so close to home, it feels even weirder seeing it in Marvel. And I think the world's probably so used to it in Peaky Blinders for people that aren't from our end. Whereas like there's like a twang of Brummy that pops up every couple of words, and it's very weird, but. I think the problem with this is more the writing because they're trying to build her up to be this. I mean, I know she technically got the serum, but she's a kid, right? And that's how I'm kind of seeing this, that they're just a bunch of kids that have took some steroids and now they're trying to make a difference. And there's meant to be this sense of sort of noblism, which I kind of see, but I don't think the writing's out there. And I think the show is trying to make out she's a child. And it's kind of like, you know, let the big boys do the talking, you know, because Mackie's there and he wants to help her. And the thing I really enjoyed of this is the parallels of Cap himself. We'll get to the serum stuff shortly, but the big thing, and I think people are showing photos and clips from Captain America 1 when they mention that the serum amplifies, you know, what's good in the best of people and what's worse makes others worse. And what I like is that they're trying to play this dynamic that already we're seeing parallels with Anthony Mackie. And I keep thinking, I keep calling him Russell Wyatt. It's Wyatt Russell. It's so strange. I think because I used to watch wrestling, you had all the Wyatt family. But that aside from things, they're trying to do this parallel with Anthony Mackie and John Walker, which is working. But because they've tried to make her out to be more of a kid than I think she's only about 21, 22. I think it's a struggle getting her on the screen with these guys that we all know are also in their late 30s, early 40s. And that's where I struggle. I think it's more the writing with her. And I don't think... The bit I really dislike is the phone conversation. And it was with Sam's sister. And I like the fact, they've gone to go, you know, the oldest trick in the book, you know, strike from the heart, as Norman Osborn would say. And I loved all that stuff. And she's like, I don't want to kill you, but I could. And I was like, this just isn't... This writing's been better. The writing in the show has been solid, I think, except her character. And I don't know if there's something bigger planned that we're going to find out. And it might make sense. I'm not sure, but... my struggle is the writing more than the performance at the moment. And I think, without sounding horrible, I know we kind of said it in Guardians, which is very different, but they're clearly having a lot more fun writing with these other characters. And it's like, the villain. And it's like we said, is John Walker now the main villain? He's always geared up to be the main villain? And I think they were always going that way, and they needed this secondary antagonist, but she doesn't feel like an antagonist because they're trying to do a sort of personal character-driven storyline, and their writing on her just isn't helping. So I don't know what's going to happen with that next, but I did like that scene because I thought for a very brief moment Baron Zemo had killed her and that he had reascended to the top of the throne, that, oh my God, his plan along was just to kill her and take over her clan and all that stuff. And no, because you got that. Like I said, it was a great moment when he just got out and shot her. That sounds horrible. I don't mean to sound that horrible, but
did he shoot her in the butt? Did he like shoot her in the stomach? I thought that's it. Like, that's over.
And the hand, did he get her in the hand as well? I know she's a super soldier. I don't know if Cap ever got shot, if they can run it off, but it was really interesting that moment because I thought this is it. This is exactly as Zemo predicted, and I'm glad they didn't do that. I think Zemo is better than just taking over the super soldiers, because in Civil War, that was the whole character purpose. They thought he was getting a super soldier army, and he killed all of them in the Bacta tanks. I know they're not Bacta tanks, but they might as well be. But kind of sort of moving from her into the main event stuff, everything about that scene was the tension of John Walker. And normally I despise handheld cameras, that kind of stuff, but I loved what they were doing with him, where the whole, even when they're in, when Zemo's in the cuffs, they're always going for that unstable camera work, and not to get arty-farty and all that, but that's intentional because he is an unhinged individual. And you get that chat with Black Star earlier. It's like, think about all the good we could have done if we had the super serum. And I know it's as predictable as it's going to get. And he's like, well, it just makes you more powerful. I was like, classic villain hype-ups. That stuff wasn't handled great. However, where everything led up to today made for some not just damn fine TV, maybe some of the edgiest stuff Marvel's done. And they've been going a very long time now. But the whole last sort of 15, 20 minutes was just insane. Even from the fact they have that rooftop bit where Bucky's like awkwardly walking behind her. I don't know. I know I've been speaking for way too long, but before we get to the last 20 minutes, do you need to add anything? Sorry, I felt really bad then.
I just want to go back to the very, very briefly. You talked about like the flag smashers and just sort of the writing not being great. I just don't care about them. Like the whole funeral scene. It's like, should I be feeling sad about a character we haven't seen and all these emotions and ties? Like, I know she's like the mother of them, and you can bring all that stuff in dialogue, but if I haven't seen that, if I haven't felt that, then I don't care, and it just goes on for so long. And I think that's just like another nail in the coffin why I don't really care about the flag smasher characters. But hang on, I just saw a comment from Carl there. We'll definitely bring that up, Carl, because that's a really cool theory, actually. We'll get onto that, who the power broker is. Brought up again in this episode, so it's definitely building to a big reveal. But I want to talk about first how I was going to say Russell Wyatt as well. Captain America gets to that state in the first place, because, you know, through dialogue you learn that he's got 3 medals of honor, he's this war hero, he's done all these valiant deeds, he's a great military tactician, he's a leader of men, but he is humbled when he gets his ass royally kicked by the Kingsguard of Wakanda. Now, this scene, the 2 major scenes, obviously the ending scene, we'll talk about the ending scene later, but this scene was incredible. Seeing the Kingsguard, always seeing the Kingsguard's great. Whenever we go to Wakanda, or when we see, and I've forgotten her name, god damn it, from Infinity War. Okoye. Love her character as well. But when you see just like the whole squadron, just how in sync they are and how they all just work off each other and completely military proficient, and their combat style, the way they fight, everything they do with a spear, it was incredible. And, you know, he's putting up a fight, and even Bucky joins in the fight to try and break it up. And I love the thing they did. It reminded me of Kill Bill, the 5-point palm heart exploding technique, where she hits all these pressure points on his arm and it just deactivates and drops to the floor. Great stuff. Loved all of that and seeing them in action. So, I mean, I don't know if we'll get to see them more or if they've kind of just left now, but I would like to see them come back for that, because that was a really cool action scene. And that really sets the seeds there. I think it was always building with Captain America's character, but it was in that moment where he got bested in combat. He even has the line, he says, and they weren't even super soldiers. So that right there sets the cogs whirring that, you know, something needs to be done now. Did he already have the serum at that point, or did he acquire that afterwards? I can't remember. I think he gets it afterwards.
No, it's before. So they've
had
it
before? Yeah,
they've had the fight where Zemo. I don't know if they're playing like weird like organ music when he's smashing all the serums. Love that as well to add to the but I think it's straight after. I think they're all in the hotel suite or something, and that's when they come in and you get this amazing stuff, because obviously, you know, John Walker is. We know he's falling. We know it's going to happen. We sensed it ages ago, probably from episode 1, but it's been that slow descent into madness. And the Dora Milaje were amazing when they popped up, because the moment that spear hits, like, you know, it's the vibranium sound effect, isn't it?
Yeah.
And I was like, shit is about to go down. And I think what sells the entire scene is Falcon and Winter Soldier just like stood there, like they're kind of laughing at that point. They're not laughing; they're just waiting. And it's like, should we get involved? Like,
I think they want to see him get his ass kicked, don't they? They want to see him get beaten out, so they're hanging back.
And I loved it. And the thing is, they were going for the kill though, because they were both about to kill the pair of them. And I think one of the best lines in it was when it says, you know, you've got no jurisdiction here, and I can't remember what to say, that the Dora Milaje have jurisdiction wherever they go.
Yeah.
And I was like, that is so cool. And I love that kind of stuff, and it's again going back to that Black Panther hype that we had. Go watch the video tomorrow; it's great. But I thought the amazing bit is, you know, let's not kill him. How do we humble him even more? When they threw the spear like in the wrist bit on the shield, so he couldn't even like detach him. Does he hit his head on it after or something?
Yeah,
like It's so bad that they just destroy him, and they just go, "Oh, Zemo's gone. Well, we're gone. We're only here for Zemo." And I did have a wobble. I was like. I don't want Bucky to have one arm for the rest of the series, but you know, it's a magnet arm. It's not a magnet plane. That's fine. But I love the fact that he didn't know they could do that, and that was such a cool thing. Because it's forgetting, you know, they are the ones that fixed you. And Bucky's such a complex character, because I think you know that he does want Zemo brought in. He does want him behind bars, but they also know to stop this, they need Zemo with them, and it's the naivety of him and Falcon where they think he's not going to betray them, and obviously they even make a reference. He goes full El Chapo, doesn't he? And goes through the toilet sewers. So his status is currently unknown. I'm glad we didn't see anything. But I think that fight scene set up perfectly. We knew John Walker would take this here in this episode. Mm-hmm. What I will say, when we get to that moment, the fact they kidnap his mate, I think the moment he got kidnapped, we knew something was going to happen, sort of jumping ahead maybe.
Yeah.
But I'm so glad there wasn't this hype up. Oh, here's me getting injected. Here's me drink. However, because I was like, does he drink it? Like, what's going to happen? Like, how
happens off screen, doesn't it? I did think it was a bit weird that we didn't see that moment.
But I think
that would have been a good scene. But
yeah, no, this is what I was going to say, that I don't, because they were weird films. They were like shaped like you could stab them in anyway. But I was like, I'm so glad we didn't get this like big moment where he's taking and his veins are going to pop or something. And I was like, it happened off screen, but we knew the moment that guy went through the window.
And when he bends the steel bar as well.
Yeah, and I was like, okay, like now it's happened. That we knew he had a serum, and it's all because he wants to rescue his friend. And we see his friend get himself out of danger, which I love as well, because I like Black Star, and that just set up what happened afterwards by itself. He came in, he saved the day, he saved him from death, and then did he get drop kicked? Like, that death is probably one of the most shocking. When I say shocking, I don't mean like in terms of fear and whatnot, but that came out of nowhere, and I think that's why it's worked so well as a scene, that it's the drop kick, the head smashing the pillar, and then just the crumbled body on the floor. No big, slowly losing breath and having this big farewell speech. None of that. Supporting character who I really enjoyed, who I wish we could have seen more of, has been killed in the heat of battle. And kind of what I forget with these Marvel films is that we've spent so much time with these super soldiers, with Cap, Iron Man, the Avengers. You forget about the normal people that do get involved in these kind of things. And it was very much bringing that reality into it, that he didn't stand an absolute chance. And I thought that was a shocking scene in a very good way. And it was quite brutal because I liked him too.
Yeah, and Dave agrees as well. He says the hit into the pillar was brutal. I think I've clocked it, in action films. You've got a good action film where you can get that reaction out of the audience, where the audience will go like, ooh, or feel the impact. And I got that multiple times in this episode. I get it every single time Captain America or anyone gets kicked and they just go flying. It's just like a frame. You don't even see like a motion blur. It's like they're on this side of the screen and then they're through that window in like less than a frame. It's that blunt force stuff. It's like the ending of Tenet when Kenneth Branagh goes overboard, and it's always those like impactful hits. So before we get to like this bit where he died, I want to talk about the bit where they're at the I think they're in like a shopping mall or something, aren't they? And he signs the autograph, because that sets it up as well, because I would have liked to have seen this more than maybe just one episode. It felt like there was a lot of character stuff, because we haven't really... He's been present, Captain America, in like the last couple of episodes, but he's been very much like in one scene or in like a final scene. I'd have liked a little bit more establishing with Black Star. I felt like I didn't know much about Black Star, and that's a shame, because I know that he is a comic book character. I wanted to see more of him. He kind of has a costume in this episode, sort of, but he doesn't really get to do all that much, and I think that's the biggest shame of it. I love it serves the plot, like his death, like a death of a comrade, death of a friend, sparks him on that complete bloodlust and that revenge that he wants to get on the people that killed his friend. I get that, and that works for the plot, but I think it's a shame. I'm like, the brother always gets it every time, and it's like I wanted to see Black Star in action a little bit more, maybe a couple of episodes with him. I don't know where you would have paced it, because obviously there's only 2 more episodes left, and I don't know where it's going, and I'm sure there's so many storylines they're having to juggle and tie everything up that maybe that would have like been too much for the plot to add like another character in and get to know him. But I think it's a shame we get that one moment, like that one heart-to-heart discussion, and I quite like that actually. I imagine a lot of celebrities are like that, where they're having a conversation and he's like really depressed and he's down on his luck, and someone comes over, he's like, oh hi, yeah, there you go, autograph, and then he turns back and he's just like head in his hands. Love that. Love the way he played it, and where he asks him that question like, would you take the serum? And it's that completely polar opposite, where maybe a little bit on the nose, but Sam says like, I wouldn't have touched it, no way. And then it cuts to those two, and both of them are like, hell yeah, we'd take it, like in a heartbeat. You wouldn't have to ask me twice. But yeah, that moment where he dies, it is an impactful moment. I think it's just the brutality of it and how gory this gets towards the end. It's not like completely over the top gore. It's not like a Saw movie or a Hostel film or anything like that, but especially in the MCU, especially run by Disney, they've always had like a very tame approach. Not to say that people don't get killed in the MCU, but it's always very much from a distance, or you don't really get all of those, blood. You especially don't get like gore and viscera dripping off a Captain America shield, But now after watching this, I was like, yeah, I guess Disney could do a Disney Plus series on Daredevil. If Daredevil came back and you want to keep it gory, it's in safe hands now. I think they could do it. They've got the balls to do it at least.
Yeah, it made me think back to the, I'll rant once more, the Avengers 2012, when they took out Loki stabbing Coulson and showing blood. And I was like, yeah, haha, how the tables have turned, as the Office would put it. No, that moment, the twist was, it's a twist to kill him because it's so unexpected, because we don't know a lot. But I think he served his purpose in that John Walker is clearly the main villain. And this was that thing that sent him over. And I thought a really great parallel against Captain America is the fact that in that very first film, Cap loses Bucky.
Yeah.
And how does he react? He didn't like rip Arnim Zola in half. He went out at the bar and tried to get drunk and I think that's what I love is that, it's those idiots that genuinely thought this guy would be Captain America and be the Captain America for the future. I think they may have woken up now that it's a story point, and it's that amazing that not the fact that you're not Steve Rogers, that he's not even trying to be now, and that the fact he's took this loss by a public massacre is an understatement for it. At the moment those phones got out, I was like, we know where this is going to go, and I'm all here for it in a nice way. And you get that amazing slow-mo shot that's become a meme now. I'm going to make sure that becomes a meme of when he lifts the shields up, and I was like, oh, very Civil War when he does it to Tony and he misses, and it wasn't the one hit down. It was
he didn't miss.
Was like, he didn't miss any of them, and he just kept going and going. And I was like, oh, it's like this is a Tarantino film. Like you're just showing the body away from like completing it, and it was the framing of the final shot, and I think that's why it's hit me even harder. Because I'd expect Marvel to like have a fully clean shield be lifted up, but it's the fact that, not without quoting the Dark Knight Rises, when Commissioner Gordon's going about like dipping the hands dirty, and all that stuff, I was like, to show the image of Captain America's shield covered in blood, not just like a splatter, like at least a quarter of the shield wrapped firmly in his body with probably bits of organ in there too. That was a very powerful shot, and it's the way he just stood up like no fucks given, and I am here for it. Not to be that guy. They kept showing us in the trailer bloody Sam with the shield, so we know something's going to happen, but I didn't expect that, and I think now we've got our main villain confirmed. And I will say that one thing, he was looking for Carly. You mentioned before live the Batman Begins quote. Also Dark Knight quote, where are they? She was there all along, my dude. She was sat in the crowd next to someone who was chatting to her. Someone just kept leaning over and talking to her. I was like, well, this is the terrorist on your left.
She even stood there for ages. Like after, like she was there with the dead body of Black Star there, and she just stood there. Like, go and get her. Yeah. Right, she's right there. Throw the shield. Do what you got to do. She's right there. Go and get her.
It was even before the throws. It was the way he threw the shield. The first time, actually, I didn't even think that. The way he threw that. Like we've seen Cap do the drop kick and throw it at people, but. Like,
this was it straight someone if this hits someone? Like,
yeah, and like he was just. I'm so intrigued to see what happens next because, are the government going to bring him in? Is he going to pretend nothing happened? Like, I just want to know what happens next, and it's the fact that he's dirtied the image of Captain America, and how was the world going to react to it? And I am all here for it. I'm very excited, and I think we assumed he'd be the villain, but he's even more unhinged than I could have imagined.
What I want to know is that going to be the only violent money shot of this entire series, or now that we've got a taste of what he can do, are we going to get more violence from him? Are we going to see more of that unhinged side to him? Because he is like a mad dog now at this point. Now, I don't know if he's going to maintain that, or if that was like a bloodlust in the heat of the moment as soon as he saw his friend die, and now he's going to mellow down a little bit, or if he is going to stay at this constant, like, highly strung state. What I hope we get as well is, again, this was like in the first episode, and we don't really get that now, which I think is a shame because it's got more into the plot. I want to see like the government side of it. I want to see their meddling. I want to see the ramifications of this, because this reminded me of like a scene from The Boys where, he is almost like a social media mascot molded and created by a government agency in order to win over the people, and he's very manipulated and everything like that. And he's like this regular average Joe off the street with superpower. They've given him superpowers, and he's got to, go out there and be the front of this. And now he's tarnished that image. Now I want to see how the government are going to retaliate to that, because they were banking on this guy. This guy was going to sort of like, champion the people in this new age. And that guy's just like sank half of his shield into a guy's, chest cavity. So I hope that comes into it as well. But I don't know, because we've got so much to do. We've got the Zemo stuff, we've got the Flag Smasher stuff. But I thought that was fascinating from that first episode, how they were framing it from that government legacy of the Captain America image, essentially. So I hope they go into that. I'm trying to think if there's anything else I can say, but I don't want it to go too OTT with the violence, but also I'm kind of curious if it does. I don't think it will get to this stage again, but it's just that striking image of the shield. You can do anything to that shield. It's just what that shield represents. Obviously, it's like the American flag, like patriotism and everything like that, but it's so intrinsically tied to Steve Rogers, and anything you see happen to that shield harkens back to his original character as well. You get moments in like Endgame where the shield's broken. So if you show a shot of the shield scratched from Civil War or dented or broken, that's anything you do with that shield is a striking image. But this is the first time that we've seen that blood all across it. Very, very different image, and just shows how far as an icon, as a symbol, what that's become ultimately. So I thought that was a really nice ending shot. Maybe not nice. Nice might not be the right word for it, but a cool ending shot, I think, which has set the stage now going into the final 2 episodes.
Yeah, I don't think we're going to get Blood and Thunder like that. I think it's that was him and Hinge dealing with the loss of a friend, and I'd imagine it will get very political, very modern day, and they'll try and cover it up and be like, this happened, or they'll pretend it didn't happen. I'm intrigued to see that reaction, because I think we're in that government side of it. A lot of people talking online think there's going to be some big cameo next week. I don't know if this is another WandaVision where someone said it and it's not, or if people are just going to pretend there's going to be one because we've not had a cameo for a couple of episodes. If there is, I really want Thunderbolt Ross. I think he's the perfect person to bring in the show right now. It's not a massive character, but if he pops up, shit's going to go down. So I'm curious to see what happens next, but I think what this has done with Marvel, I'm not saying it's a game changer, but this showed a different style to them, and they were willing to go that far to show it. They could have ended it with him, smashing it down on him. Don't show the body or the shield, fade to black. But they didn't. They wanted to show us that blood, and they wanted to show the world how he has tainted that image of the shield. So I'm very curious to see what happens next.
We talked about the celebrity cameo. I guess this is a good way. I want to go back to Carl's comment that he posted earlier. Whether it is going to be, a character that we've had in the MCU before, like you mentioned, Thunderbolt Ross, it could be anyone really. Carl mentions, are we now thinking Sharon Carter is the power broker? I think the next episode is where you reveal the power broker. Now, are we thinking that the power broker is going to be a brand new character? Do we think it's going to be an established character? Do you think it's going to be Sharon Carter? Or do you think it will be this celebrity cameo, this big name, like a character that we've already seen in the MCU that we couldn't even imagine is coming back and is secretly the power broker all along?
I think it's Sharon Carter. I want to be proven wrong. I really would love someone I couldn't even imagine. One of them really boring side characters who popped up once and we never saw them again. I'd take something like that, but I think Sharon Carter, they're going to try and play this card. She's in this really sweet IT center today, and she was randomly tracking them for her. So I think she's got more to do with it. I think we're going to find out what that is. But if she's not the power broker, she's at least the number 2 to that person, and I'm very curious as to who it could be. I don't have the faintest idea. In truth, I don't know if there's upcoming films and characters they've cast and we don't know, or if there's upcoming characters that they have cast and told us and we just don't know they're going to be in this show. I'm struggling to think of, because when you think of this film, you're thinking really of the Winter Soldier cast, but also those people like the Thunderbolt Rosses that, they're a military-esque characters, so it would make sense for them to pop up in this. Like when we got Rhodey in episode 1 and Power Broker, like evil villain club, I was like, if Zemo hadn't been in it, that would be the obvious one. Mm-hmm. But right now, I don't have a single clue. I don't know if you've got any suggestions. You think
I'm trying to think of like a tech-savvy character from the MCU, and obviously, other than Tony Stark, that'd be a surprise if Robert Downey Jr. came back from the dead.
Voucher, but he's
in jail.
He's locked in.
I don't see them bringing in Sony characters as well. I think that would be just legally. I don't know if that's the right word, but I don't think
they wouldn't want it. Marvel wouldn't want to.
They wouldn't allow it, would they? I think they're already a turbulent relationship as it is. I don't think they'd risk it with Falcon and the Winter Soldier. Oh God, can you imagine if it's Darcy? I really don't want it to be Darcy. But again, like you're right, she's had no ties with the Captain America stuff. It feels like it needs to be someone part of this family that we've seen. I have no idea. I really don't know. But I think if you are going to bring someone, I feel like it needs to be a character that we've seen or we're at least aware of. If they are going for like a big you mentioned like it's cameo, it could just be a random character strolling in, delivering some exposition, and that's not the power broker. I think I'd be fine if it's a new character. It's helping recreate that lore and expand the MCU world with all these brand new characters. And we know that the power broker is actually a character in the comics. There's 2 iterations of the character, but the MCU kind of does its own thing. It could make the power broker a character that we've already seen. I don't know, but we've at least got one theory for something. We kept talking about WandaVision, how week to week we were always intrigued where it was going to go, and we still do have that with this, but it's more of a plot, scenario where we want to see the plot go. But I guess the Power Broker is probably the biggest one this series has got so far in terms of where we're thinking it might be leading to.
My out there prediction is going to be that Marvel did the impossible and they got Daniel Day-Lewis out of retirement.
Oh my God.
Could you
Well,
imagine?
he needs a redemption after the Phantom Thread, that's for sure. So please, for God's sake, just get him in anything.
If it's that, then probably Kevin Feige will come and arrest me and be like, "Who leaked these secrets to you?" Honestly, they didn't. But I hope it's no one. I think it's probably going to be Sharon Carter, and I don't want it to be a Mandarin thing. Like, I am the power broker.
Oh, what was the name of that? They did the advert. Oh God, it could be him because they did the advert for Xbox or whatever it was. What's the gamer tag guy?
Noobmaster_69.
Is it going to be him?
I don't think it'll be him. I think we can say, although he was with Anthony Mackie in that.
That's
trailer,
what I mean. Yeah, he's part of it.
It could be, but whoever it is, I'm curious. It could even be an Asgardian because they're all living on Earth at the end of Endgame. So we will maybe find out in a week. Maybe it's another Mephisto, and everything's not going to happen. So, still one of the greatest internet things ever is when episode 6 was like, really, this could be a Snoke, and it was. Mm-hmm. So. I don't want to get too on the Power Broker chain, but I think because it's such a stupid name as well, like the Power Broker. I'm kind of like, it kind of feels like a joke. And if Marvel want to treat it as a joke, I'd be fine. If it was like Alan from The Hangover, that'd be so funny. But
I really want it to be oh God, what's his name? Anthony Anderson, is that his name from Transformers? Living with his grandma.
Sam Rockwell. Doubt it, but why not?
Did he survive Iron Man 2?
Yeah, he's in the short film with the real Mandarin, well, not the real Mandarin, with Trevor Slattery teasing the real Mandarin. But as far as I'm aware, Sam Rockwell, if he popped up, that'd be a big one. Don't think that'd happen in truth. But again, there's one I can think of like tech villains in Marvel. He's probably the only other one.
I guess we'll end with that then, like asking people what their predictions are for the Power Broker. I do want to bring up one final comment before we sign off, though. Another one from Carl earlier. At the end of Endgame, I didn't feel Sam deserved to be the next Captain America. I'll agree with that too. But this series has really shown he's more than worthy. And they set that up from episode 1 as well. I would like to see more of that. It seems like episode 1 set up all these ideals and, all these setups, and we've kind of got away from that a little bit. It's kind of doing its own thing now and the plots took over. But I hope by the end of it, or at least next episode, we've only got 2 episodes left. Maybe they'll be like an hour apiece, but I want to see it sort of segue back to that because that was sort of like the main theme. He didn't feel he was personally worthy of that legacy of the Shield, but I hope by the end of this series he does reach that point and he becomes the new Captain America. Would he still be called Falcon, or would he completely just get rid of that whole moniker and just become Captain America? I still don't know the tactical advantage that a guy who has a wingsuit would need with a shield. I still stand by that.
He might drop the wings and take a suit. That'd be very interesting, because not to get a comics thing, there is a new Falcon in the comics, and he shares the same name as that actor from the very first episode that he was with. Not sure. So if there's potential, I'm not saying that might just be them doing a little nod to the comics type thing, but if he rocked up in the final episode as Captain America, I'm the same as you. A year ago, I'd have been like, he's got the shield, but keep the wings. Now I'm like, I'd like to see Anthony Mackie with that shield. And I think, in all honesty, looking at the Marvel shows we're getting, the TV ones, this feels like the one where there's more chance of getting a season 2, 3, etc. compared to, say, WandaVision and Loki. Well, Loki might be multiple seasons, actually, but it already is confirmed. But if there was a season 2 for this, I wouldn't be surprised, and I'd be for it. I'd be very much for it, but then I guess they'll have to change the name again.
Yeah, with WandaVision, I don't want another series. That felt more like an epilogue to her story arc, taking us into that new iteration of the character that we're going to get in the future films. I would like more seasons of this. I think just from a story standpoint, there's way more stuff you could do with this, and it does feel like a film. Out of the 2 that we've had so far, this feels like you could condense this down into like a 2.5 hour, 3 hour film somehow. Maybe cut out some of Carly's scenes in there. Maybe that's where I'd start chopping this down to size. But I think, we've had another comment come through. Who's this from? Yep, Dave says, loving the show. Can't wait to see it play out. I really want it to end well. That's my biggest concern. With all TV shows, I'm like, just don't drop the ball when it gets to the ending. But I think it's in safe hands. We saw what they did with WandaVision. I know that, there was an argument there. Maybe that was slightly anticlimactic in some ways, and I do stand by that. But I think overall, they've just been killing it with the Disney Plus TV series. So now I'm looking forward to all the other ones they've got coming out. Speaking of which, Loki, brand new trailer came out earlier this week. That's definitely got my attention. A lot more from this second trailer. But we'll be getting to that in June. So I think that will do it for our conversation tonight. So we're going to hand over to all you guys as well. Thank you for commenting along, everyone who's been on tonight. We want to hear your thoughts on Falcon and the Winter Soldier, specifically this episode, where you think it's heading. As I mentioned, we only have 2 more episodes left now. And then what are we going to do? What we're going to do for all these weeks until Loki comes out. I'm sure we'll find something. In the meantime, we'll have a lot more Oscar reviews. I know that. We've got a lot of films to get through on the channel. But if you do want to stick with us for Marvel, George, you still have a good amount of reviews coming out. I think you mentioned we're up to Black Panther this weekend. So we have a few more. With a few more to fill the void, I guess.
Yeah, we're almost at the end game, quite literally in terms of pre-recording too. Black Panther coming Saturday, Infinity War, of course, coming on Monday. So if you're really enjoying these, we've got a big spike on Thor Ragnarok, which is great because it's one of the best films. Chris is shaking his head inside. It's carrying on. Every Monday, Wednesday, Saturday, 8 p.m. Different people on each time. It's been very good fun so far. And Black Panther, one of the most important films of the entire MCU. And also, we did, coincidentally, we had a father review this week with Thor Ragnarok, which both has Anthony Hopkins, and we had Ma Rainey's yesterday, and Black Panther tomorrow, which is ridiculously weird timing. The fact that both of them are on the same week is even weirder. So if you like Marvel, check that out, of course, and some of these other videos. And if you don't like Marvel, you wouldn't be the end of this video for a starter. However, if you like Oscars, if you like films, non-TV stuff, we are doing our Oscar reviews. We have Hillbilly, I can't even pronounce it, Elegy coming for this Sunday. That review's coming, that got an Oscar nomination and a Res nomination in the same category. So that's the selling point of the film for me. And we've got a lot of other things coming up. I'm actually going to be live tweeting on Sunday at 6 p.m. a press conference I've been invited to, which is very random. So I think I can give out more details then. Obviously, follow us on our social medias for that, because I'm only going to do it on Twitter, not on Facebook, because no one uses Facebook. You can't really do tweet threads, do you know what I mean? So hit us up, Twitter at cinema_savvy, facebook.com/cinemasavvy, the same on Letterboxd, and we have links below for our TeePublic store and for our Oscar predictions giveaway. As we said, 3 Oscar reviews coming out a week. Some of these are best film nominees, some of these are films with 1 or 2 nominations, but we are getting all of them covered. We have a dedicated Oscars playlist on the channel homepage as well. That stems reviews back from last year for films we didn't actually watch, such as Mulan. Obviously, great films such as Tenet, and then the usual Oscar films, London Film Festival stuff. So if you like your Oscar films, if you're trying to catch up, check out that playlist. Most of them are available to stream online now. We've had another couple come out today and on Monday. I think by the end of next week, all of them would have been released in England except Nomadland, which is ridiculous. However, that's a lot of Oscar talk because we've got a lot of Oscar films. I want to thank everybody for watching at home, everyone for commenting along with us, and don't forget, put your Power Broker predictions in the comments below, and we shall see you next Friday to find out if the Power Broker even rocked up or not. Thanks all for watching.